All right, let's get right into it. For 60 years, the auto industry in Thailand was like a fortress, an empire really, built by Japan with Toyota as the undisputed king. But something massive is happening right now. A huge, unexpected shift that's forcing Toyota to make a move that could either save its entire kingdom or bring the walls crashing down for good.
You know, this isn't just some small headline. When a major financial outlet calls something a historical turning point, you know the stakes are unbelievably high. What we're watching unfold is a fundamental change in who holds the power in one of the world's most critical manufacturing hubs.
And this, right here, is the heart of the story. You have an empire that seemed completely invincible for 6 decades, built on that legendary Japanese precision. But now it's facing a threat so serious that you can actually see the cracks starting to form. The real question is, how deep do those cracks go?
So, to really understand why this is such a massive deal, we first need to get the lay of the land. Let's explore why they call Thailand Asia's Detroit, and just how deep those ties to Japan really are.
So, the story kicks off way back in 1964 when Toyota first set up shop. And this wasn't just another factory, you know. It was the seed that grew into the entire modern Thai auto industry. And it became a powerhouse. I mean, just think about the scale here. It makes up a staggering 11% of the country's GDP and gives jobs to 850,000 people. For 60 years, it was this perfect, stable partnership. And then, the bombshell. Toyota, the architect of this whole system, announced it's going to start using parts from its biggest rivals, Chinese suppliers, for its new electric vehicles.
So what on earth could force a giant like Toyota to make such a crazy move? Well, it wasn't a gentle push. It was a full-blown tsunami of Chinese electric vehicles that just completely redrew the map in just a few years.
Just look at how fast the ground shifted underneath them. In 2019, Japanese brands had an iron grip on the market. We're talking 90%, total domination. But by 2025, that's projected to fall all the way to 71%. And China? They're expected to surge from basically nothing to 16% of the entire market. That's not growth. That's a hostile takeover.
And it gets worse. If you zoom in on just the electric vehicle segment, the future of the entire industry, the picture is absolutely brutal. This isn't even a competition. It's a total rout. Chinese companies control over 94% of the Thai EV market. In one recent month, the top 7 best-selling EVs were all Chinese. And Toyota's EV registrations during that same time? A big fat 0.
40%. Let that sink in for a second. In just 2 years, after showing up in Thailand, a single Chinese brand, BYD, grabbed 40% of the entire EV market. They didn't just knock on the door, they kicked it down. And now they're building a huge factory there to export to the rest of Southeast Asia.
So the big question is, how did they do it? And this quote from an industry insider just nails the irony of it all. The Chinese brands are using the exact same playbook that Toyota itself used to conquer the world decades ago. Give people a product with good enough quality, but at a price the old guard just can't touch.
Okay, so you're Toyota. You're facing this existential threat. You have to do something. But their response isn't some small adjustment. It's a massive, high-stakes pivot, a bet-the-kingdom kind of move that means teaming up with the very same companies that are threatening to put you out of business.
So here's Toyota's survival plan, broken down into 3 huge steps. First, they're strengthening their alliances with big local Thai suppliers. Second, and this is the truly revolutionary part, they're actively bringing competitive Chinese parts makers into their own supply chain. And third, the end goal? Use these new suppliers to slash the cost of their next-gen EVs by a massive 30%.
And we're not just talking about swapping out a few screws here and there. The whole plan is to use what they call a multi-pathway platform. Think of it like a flexible vehicle foundation that they copied from a successful, low-cost EV they already built in China. They're taking its design, its parts, and using it to build cheaper EVs for the entire Southeast Asian market. It's the ultimate, if you can't beat them, use their blueprints.
Now, a decision this big doesn't just happen in a boardroom. It sent shockwaves through the entire system, a system that for 60 years was built on unwavering loyalty to Japanese companies.
And this pivot is creating a clear divide, creating winners and losers. On one side, you have the legacy Japanese suppliers.
They're getting hit with order cuts. They're being forced to downsize. One company had to let 300 people go. They built their entire business on having the best quality, but now they can't compete on price. And on the other side, you've got these agile Thai and new Chinese suppliers who are jumping on the opportunity, winning contracts with a simple pitch. Our quality is good enough, and our price is way lower.
And if you want to see just how big this restructuring is, look at these numbers. In 2017, there were maybe 48 Chinese auto parts companies in Thailand. Fast forward to 2024, and that number has quadrupled to almost 200. This isn't a minor shift. It's a fundamental rewiring of the industrial DNA in Thailand. An expert from the Nomura Research Institute put it very bluntly. He called this a crisis, a very serious one that is not easy to get out of. For the longtime Japanese players who have basically defined this industry for decades, it must feel like an inescapable trap.
So all of these forces, the market tsunami, the shock to the supply chain, and Toyota's desperate pivot are all barreling towards one single critical point in the future. The battle for the very soul of Asia's Detroit is set for the year 2028. This timeline really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? You go from the foundation in 1964 to the Chinese disruption in 2022 to Toyota's pivot in 2025. Everything is now leading to 2028. That's the year. That's when Toyota's very first EV built with this new hybrid Japanese-Chinese strategy is set to roll off the assembly line. That's the moment of truth.
So we're left with this huge billion-dollar question. As 2028 gets closer, what will Asia's Detroit become? Will it be a graveyard for a 60-year-old empire? Or will it become the blueprint for a totally new kind of global collaboration? Will Toyota's gamble be seen as a brilliant act of survival or the final nail in the coffin? The clock is ticking.